Peace, my name is Jamel Shabazz. I'm a documentary photographer, and I'm here building with COOHCAT. Peace. Music is everything for me. I mean, it's just a divine gift that's a part of my entire process. You know, so it just speaks to my soul. And before the actual music, you know, I go back to the drum and what the drum means to me. And that's really resonates with me because, you know, especially during the summer in Brooklyn, you know, I would go to Prospect Park on a Sunday where they had an event called Drummers Grove. And I found that by going in, you have all these drummers and musicians that come together and they would just play their instruments. It was something about that that I would, you know, that helped me with my healing process. Just going out to Prospect Park, which I call the oasis in Brooklyn, and hearing that drum and what it would do for not only for me spiritually, but a whole lot of people around me spiritually. You know, so it was something special about the drum that has helped my soul over time. But overall music, especially love songs in a time of so much hatred, you know, I have a tendency to go back and listen to music of that nature to remind me of what love is, because we're not really hearing a lot of that today. And as of recently, it's been very interesting, the journey I'm on, because I've been listening to a lot. I've always liked Gangstar, you know, and Guru and DJ Premier, you know, two of my favorites. But lately I've been listening to a lot of DJ Premier songs that were instrumental. And it's something about those beats that really speak to my soul like never before. So I'll say, like, for the past few weeks now, I've been listening to a lot of DJ Premier, and I'm just instrumental, and I'm blown away behind that, you know, and how it really speaks to my work now and my process. So when I want to get into the creative mode, I'll throw DJ Premier on and just let his music play, and it speaks to my soul and my creative process now. So I find that a lot of my new work now is going to be really powerful, inspired greatly by him. And I got to say too, how can I forget, you know, Do Pardon Me. I got to go back to the song that inspires me each and every day. It's actually my national anthem, and that's Umi Says. You know, and I'm so grateful, you know, for Yasin Bey for producing that song, because that song speaks to my soul like no other song. I have to go back and say, that's number one. What's going on is Marvin Gaye, that's right there with him. But Umi Says, when I heard that song, it brought tears in my eyes, because I said, that's my journey. If I want to be remembered, if any song was to reflect my life and my journey, it's Umi Says. That's number one. When I first started taking images out, my favorite artist at that time was Kool and the Gang. This is back in 1975, and that was the first group I actually saw at the Apollo. And in seeing them, I was just blown away with their musical ability and just their character. And through that experience, it inspired me to want to play bass. You know, seeing our brother Kool, you know, how he got down. So that was one of my first groups. And then Earth, Wind & Fire. You know, so the big bands back in those days that were very popular: Earth, Wind & Fire, Kool and the Gang. And I also had a great respect for Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, Gil Scott-Heron, and a number of the sisters. You know, I loved the voices of women. So Phyllis Hyman, you know, what she did, she spoke to my soul. Minnie Riperton, Aretha Franklin, and so many others, you know, were some of my favorites. Wow, there's so many. That's a hard question right there, because there's a lot of them. That's hard, because the music in the 70s was so good. That's when I really got into a lot of the music. I liked the Funky 4+1. You know, when that came out in like 78, 79, you know, in Germany, it's like, wow, that's beautiful. That's hip hop. Positive Force, We Got the Funk. You know, that was a bad album. I got it on Reel to Reel. But I have to say, you know, in really thinking about the album that really hit me, I have to say Still Pulse, Hardsworth Revolution. You know, because when I was in the Army at that time, you know, the Ku Klux Klan, they were on the rise. They was in our unit, and on that album there was a song called the Ku Klux Klan, and there was another song called Tribute to the Martyrs, where they spoke about George Jackson. And it's through Still Pulse I was introduced to George Jackson, Solidarity brother, Steve Biko. They spoke about him. They spoke about apartheid system in South Africa. So I have to say, with all honesty, it would be Still Pulse. Besides Marvin Gaye, What's Going On, I'll say What's Going On, that album, and Still Pulse, Hardsworth Revolution. for most of, I think that one of the soundtracks for a lot of my songs is Marvin Gaye. First of that really whole album, What's Going On. You know, every song is the soundtrack to all of my photographs. You know, what's happening. You know, what's going on. What's happening, brother? Mercy, mercy me. Save the children. You know, God is love. So that album really resonates with me. When I look at my photographs, you know, when I'm in a really reflective mood, I throw that album on and I just sit and I reflect, and it really hits me hard. And there's another album that I like a lot. You know, another artist, should I say? That's Lonnie Liston Smith. I was introduced to his music in the 70s, and it's something that's about that, very instrumental, you know, percussionist, and it's something about his music that really resonates with my soul and with what I feel. And oftentimes when I would travel the streets, you know, I have him playing, you know, in my recording devices to kind of like put me in a certain serene mood. And then there's times I might listen to, you know, Curtis Mayfield, you know, the Superfly album. Freddie's Dead, Little Child Running Wild, because it spoke to that time and what was going on then. So, you know, music, there's different songs that really represent what I was feeling at that time. But I say Marvin Gaye is that main soundtrack that really resonates with me. And then, you know, when I worked on the rock in 1980, Rikers Island, it was Gil Scott-Heron. You know, a lot of Gil Scott-Heron, The Prisoner, Pieces of a Man, In the Bottle, because that's what was going on. And when I came home from the Army, it's very interesting too, which I must speak about, the role that reggae music had on my growth and development back in both the late 1970s and the 80s. While in Germany, I was introduced to the music of Steel Pulse, you know, a very noted reggae group. And they had an album called Handsworth Revolution. And that really resonated with me, and it inspired me to want to know about Rastafarian culture. So reggae, you know, I have strong roots within both R&B, jazz, hip hop, and reggae. And I have to mention another group because it really reflects that time and the spirit of the street. And that's Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five, and that's The Message. And that was the vibe right there. That's what I really feel. You know, that's what it was about, the message. This is what's going on out here, and we need to wake up.
Growing up, which musician or musicians embody that kind of medicine for the soul?
Oh, Gil Scott-Heron. I think that Gil Scott-Heron is that one. It's something about his music, especially Rivers of My Father, that really touched me. You know, and Your Daddy Loves Me. You know, so it's Gil's music that really healed my soul. You know, even to this day, you know, when I'm going through certain situations or reflection, you know, I throw Gil on, and it speaks to, you know, what I'm dealing with. You know, Your Precious Love or Precious Time. You know, that album. You know, a lot of what Gil does, it speaks to me. The Prisoner. When I worked on Rikers Island, you know, I would sometimes place myself in an empty cell, and I would just think about that song, The Prisoner, what it's like to be incarcerated. In the Bottle, you know, when I would see a lot of brothers who fallen victim to alcohol addiction, you know, it resonated with me, and I try to put myself in that place. And in my personal relationship with Gil Scott-Heron, you know, the fact that I would see him in concert, you know, he's one of the first individuals I saw in concert, you know, back in the early 80s. And even one of the saddest days of my life was when he came through the court system as a prisoner. And he was a broken man, and it really devastated me because his music has uplifted me all my life and kind of like gave me the strength to carry on. And here I see a man who has inspired me for so many years, broken and pieces of a man. So that was very difficult for me.